Hello, I'm using a binary option trading app and most of them will have similar features. So for the sake of this example, it is called Olymp Trade. So let us start it and see what happens. While the screen loads up, there is a bonus of up to 100% of your initial deposit up to a maximum of $200. So as you can see at the top left corner, that is somewhere here, I started with around 400 and I'm down to 372 on my second day. You are restricted in your profit. So in this case, we are looking at Bitcoin versus USD, which is in your top right corner here. Now, in this currently, your profit is limited to 50%. This number varies from 30 to 60% most of the time, and you can only access two such indices or commodities, if you want to put it that way. I guess you have to deposit more money if you want to access the rest, so this is a heavily restricted thing. Now, use common sense. This is not investment, it is just a sophisticated form of gambling because you're just betting on the direction up or down, and whether something goes up by 1% or 10%, your profits do not increase in that proportion. And it is for a short term duration, anything from 1 minute to about 90 minutes. So you can see the default at the bottom here is $3 and the duration is 1 minute. So for the sake of this tutorial, I am going to now start placing trades so you get a sense of how this works. Now there are many tutorials on technical indicators and charting and looking at trends, and that can take months to learn. So if you're a casual first time trader, you may not want to spend months learning how to read and interpret technical graphs and charting. Though if you want to do that, obviously you should go ahead and do that. I'm just going to show you a simple contrarian strategy that works in the case of volatile indices like Bitcoin versus USD. This will not work for liquid and less risky things like your Dow Jones or Nasdaq, or even commodities like gold and coil, which are traded all over the world and are very liquid and stable markets. So this is because we are restricted to just two options, which we can see by tapping the asset on the top right. So you can see there's one under currency. I will mark it as my favorite, and one under index, which is a crypt index. I honestly don't know what that is, but those are the only two things you can trade on. And okay, currency did not even show up. That was awesome. So let us try it again. Here, even though I'm clicking it, it fades out. Okay, this was a user interface issue. But here, these are the two things, Crypt Index and Bitcoin USD, that you can trade on. Your profits on Crypt Index are limited to 30%, which is what you see here. And then here's the graph for the Bitcoin. Except this is a 10-minute chart. I prefer to look at a little longer duration. So let us change it to an, whoops, that was too long. Let us change it to an hour. So this way you can get a sense of how it's doing for the past hour. Now the red lines indicate when I'm betting that it's going to go down. So there are two things to keep track of. One is called an uptick, which is what happened just now, and one is called a downtick, which is obviously a movement in the opposite direction. So the contrarian strategy is to keep betting in the opposite direction of the tick for longer and longer durations, because the short duration like 1 minute for a beginning trader, you're bound to lose money because at the last second it will reverse direction and you will lose the amount you invested, in this case $3. So let us assume right now we are on a down tick. So I'm going to bet that it's going to go up. So I pressed this, it asks for confirmation, we can get rid of that. And now it shows you that green line, which is I bet $3 that the price is going to go up. Now every time the price goes below this threshold, you can increase your bet, and every time it goes above the red line, which is where I bid on the down, on the uptick, you can also increase your bet in the opposite direction. So this gives you a band to operate from. You can press that little hamburger up down thing on the top left corner, which has 3 next to it in red. So you can see the 3 trades I have placed so far and the levels at which I've placed them. You can also see how much time to the expiry. So now let us assume that the price will fall below the green line. Then my next bet can be at $4, slightly more, and increase the duration to 5 minutes. And it may so happen that during the course, okay, one of the trades ended profitably, so there was a 50% profit. But you have to understand, your loss is 100%, your profit is 50%. So on average, you you will get about 50% of it right and 50% wrong. So now there was a sudden move down, so maybe we should bet that it will go up. Okay, so now we placed a bet. So in the course of this video, it may happen that it may not be so volatile, so I may not be able to place the bets like I'm showing you, but the idea is to keep increasing the duration and the amount of the bet gradually as it trends above or below the lines that you can see, which is where the initial bet was placed. So if it goes below the green line, I will place a higher bet of $5, and if it goes above the topmost red line, then I will again place a higher bet. Now I will just scroll back so you can actually see when the starting point of that bet was. There, now you have a better idea of the trend. On the left you can see that it was placed at $43.24 for a Bitcoin, and it's got 44 minutes left, and it is in the money, so to speak. Similarly, so the first red line was where I placed my initial bet when it was going up. The second red line was where I placed my next bet. So the first bet was at $3, which is the default, but you can choose $1 also. And the second bet was at $4. Now, if it exceeds the second red line, which is here, then I will place another bet that it is going to go down at $5. If it goes significantly below the green line, like it has, then also I will place a bet, which I have done, at $5. The point of increasing the bet is that your first few bets will always lose most of the time. So to make up for that loss, you have to bet bigger amounts. So now my next bet will have to be $6. Again, this is just a suggestion. There is no guaranteed strategy to make money in anything like this. This is just something that I have discovered, and in the comments you can also write about simple strategies that you have come up with that are more effective than this one. Okay, so this is just a suggestion for first time users who've never done trading on an app before and have gotten to this binary option trading. Remember, it is not an investment, it is just a sophisticated form of gambling. So mentally you should think of it as, for entertainment purposes only. I would say 90 to 95% of investors lose money on binary option trades. So it is very important to keep that in mind. As you can see, after all my great strategy, I'm still down 10% on my initial balance of $400. So that is also something to keep in mind. On my first day, 2/3 of my bets were wrong. So I was doing worse than a coin toss. But now you're getting a sense of how these trades will work. If it drops below that $5 green line, so say somewhere here, then I will place my $6 bet. If it goes over the $4 red line, that is somewhere here, then I will place my $5 bet that it will go down. And I will also increase the duration for the next one, since the current one is 5 minutes. The next one we'll keep for 10 minutes. So I know you would have a lot of questions, so why don't you ask your questions in the comments, and I will try to explain this strategy in a little bit more detail. But the point is, it's contrarian in nature. When you have an uptick, you bet that it will go down. When it goes above that red line for the down bet, then you bet $1 more, to make up for the loss that it has gone below. So and you can have a maximum of 10 trades at any given time, which I think I've mentioned. And so that keeps you from running up massive losses. And the gradual increase is very important also, so that in case of a sudden sharp swing, you don't just lose all your money because you've been gradually doing it. But remember, 100% loss versus 50% maximum profit, you will always lose in the long term, because that is just basic math. And you will rarely do better than 50%, which is basically a coin toss, in guessing the direction, especially over these very short terms. I mean, if they had an option beyond 1.5 hours, so there was a profitable one that just executed, that's the sound you just heard, where it says $6 down here. That was the gain. I had bet $4, and you can see I'm operating at a net loss of 370. Let us go, while this is happening, and check my portfolio. Now you can see, you can see that, and we get back, and let us see the trades. Nope. There's a whole bunch of indicators like parabolic and moving average and relative strength and stochastic and things that only technical people will understand, so I'm just leaving that out. You can see a bunch of trend lines also, and we'll go back to the trades. So you can see some of them are expiring in 30 seconds, and they seem to be in the money. There was a way, I will just X this, there was a way to check all your trade history. So I'm going to see if I can open that, and my trades, there you go. So these are my active trades. 3 of them are in the money, but that's just a coincidence. They could have all 3 been losing money. So we're going to close to see my history. As you can see, the last 5 trades have been profitable, but the 5 trades before that have all lost money. So it basically just averages out. At the start, when I was just betting randomly, 2/3 of my trades were losing money. So you can see only 3 out of 9 trades made money. That I would have been better off just tossing a coin. Basically, that's what it boils down to. So these are things to keep in mind. Alright, that was my brief introduction to using binary options to trade on an app. I have used one particular app, but obviously you use whichever one suits you. Just a quick note for people based in India. If you have a good card like SBI, you can go online, enable foreign currency transactions so that you can deposit the $200, and then wait till you make that amount in profit. So suppose you make $200 in profit, you can put that back into your card and then disable foreign currency transactions. So if this particular site or app gets hacked and your card details are leaked, no one can use that card for international transactions. So this is just a little security thing. And keep in mind that if you charge $200 to your card, you cannot refund more than 200. So just think of it as getting your principal back. The rest of the money will be here. You'll have to provide some alternate way of getting the money or continue to trade. But if you lose all the rest of the balance, that's okay. You at least recovered your money and got a sense of how to work these things. That's the end of the video. Thank you very much.